Hello, you're watching TVP World Talks. I'm Joanna Heidtman. Britain's Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has spoken in favour of an initiative to hold screenings of the acclaimed Netflix show Adolescence at schools across the nation. A dramatic story of teenage violence, the miniseries directed by Philip Barantini touches upon pressing issues such as the impact of social media on young people, including online hate and misogyny. Are today's teens able to cope with the challenges of online society, and what should be done to help them along the way? Joining us now is Dr. Joanna Heidtman, expert in the field of psychology and phenomena affecting modern societies from the Institute of Sociology at Poland's prestigious Jagiellonian University. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning.
So let's begin with the basics. The Netflix series in question, Adolescence, directed by Philip Barantini. What is this about, and why is it such a conversation starter pretty much around the world?
Maybe for the first time in such a way which could be understandable for all people, this phenomena was shown. Not only very dangerous and serious influence of internet and social platforms on young people, but also it goes even deeper, showing how the very radical attitudes toward women are actually advertised on the internet. Especially, it touches the specific platforms which actually promotes violence toward women, which is called Manosphere. But also it shows, at least this is my personal perspective on it, it shows how it is difficult to see the same things through two generations, like loving parents and the kids, because we living in a society when the gender, when the age groups are really divided by a huge gap. Meaning that the generation Z, so to called, like really young people right now, and the generation of their parents, they grown up in completely different realities, meaning that the young people grown up in the internet, literally, while their parents were still growing up in a completely different reality.
And that's actually a fascinating subject because it brings us neatly to an issue that was raised recently in the UK, but primarily in Australia. The government there has actually proposed banning social media for people below the age of 16. Not just smartphones at schools, but also just basically a ban on social media. But isn't this also a reflection of this massive age divide we're talking about? Because essentially this is the generation of the parents trying to decide what the generation of the kids is going to do, and possibly not realizing that this, perhaps, might be difficult to accomplish in this day and age.
There is a discussion. Australia already have this law. There is no social media below 16. And there is a discussion in different countries in Europe as well about it. It's not that simple. There are different attitudes toward there. Some people, some experts say, yeah, this is the only way, just ban this below 16, for example, and no cell phones, no smartphones on at school, like at all. And some actually are warning, okay, this ban might actually draw these kids even to the darker, and deeper and darker parts of the internet when it's actually not allowed. It won't be easy because maybe I'm exaggerating, but imagine now we living like parents and kids in this gap is so serious. It's like, for example, one would know the alphabet and writing, and the other would, not know it. Okay, so it's such a big gap, and it shows on this movie that at some point when they trying to actually figure out what happened, and when this young boy committed, I mean, he done what he done. One of the kids is telling to his parent, his detective, it's not going right because you don't understand it. You're not getting it. You don't know the symbols. You don't
Well, there's
know
a massive
all this
rift,
behavior.
isn't there? So what could be the alternative? Okay, if we assume that we should not be banning social media, some politicians are saying, okay, so let us actually restrict access to certain content, such as something you've mentioned before, the so-called incel groups, basically spreading the sort of toxic approach towards women. But again, wouldn't this be problematic, because then you have social media platforms and they want to make money, and also they are based in the US. They have a different approach to freedom of speech, especially right now, a very fundamentalist approach recently. Again, do you think that this is an option, restricting access to selected sites or types of content?
All this, the way we're trying, I think I see it as a good thing, because I guess for the last, 15 years, we really didn't pay attention to it. We were like over optimistic, or we're just, we're not looking at this side, okay? So the fact that we're talking about it, the fact that they even think about mandatory watching this movie for, students or maybe even parents, this is actually the beginning of it. And believe me, it's not only about the internet, it's about the global economy, and it's about social issues. What this movie shows, the behavior of this young boy, it wasn't influenced only through the internet platform. Something drove him to it, is his interest to it. So it's a lot of issues which are much more global than only one person watching too much internet.
Would you say that perhaps this is a question, as you suggested, of society not being able to provide answers to people who feel excluded, who feel like they don't form part of the mainstream, and they are being drawn in by influencers, let's use the word in the broadest possible sense, like Andrew Tate, for example, promoting misogyny, promoting violence against women, actually right now being the subject of an investigation for human trafficking. Do you think that, for example, in Poland, we should be looking at how society is treating people who feel like they don't belong, so that they don't fall into the sort of trap of extremist views, wherever these views actually come from?
Yes, that's absolutely true. But I also think that it's not only about the excluded. You see, the movie is about the teenagers. Okay, that's this very difficult phase in a life when people try to find a membership, like the social context, and not the context of family and parents, but the colleagues, the groups they belong, is the most important. And that's a question. What do we do not feel isolated for young people generally, because it's not only the groups and who they compare to, who acceptance they need to, do they find it, do we help them go through this phase? It's only a few years of life, but sometimes, I mean, they are crucial. They actually they shape the grown-ups. So I don't think it's only about the excluded. I mean, every young man is looking for appreciation, and where he or she finds it. In this movie, we see it's not only about the men; it's also about the girls, young women. They also try to be the way they would be accepted, and they don't find it. this acceptance in a group, or sometimes with the teachers.
So everyone's looking for
I see
acceptance,
it-
right? Wouldn't you say that social media can also play a positive role? Like a person who would have felt totally excluded, for example, living in a small town and belonging to a particular subculture, right now they can find content that's actually similar to what they like and say, okay, I'm not alone, there are people like me, I can make new friends, new contacts. I'm just asking this question because we sometimes demonize the role of social media, forgetting that they can also actually foster inclusivity to at least some extent.
I don't think we learn as a society, as a civilization even, that we didn't learn to deal with this, that we have it. We have all the good things like education and belonging and inspiration on the internet. And at the same time, we have this dark side. So we still didn't learn how to deal with it, that both is there. The more real relationship in the real life, supporting relationship, the less risk of this going to the dark side of the internet. The lower risk of being influenced with a radical attitudes, radical ideas. I do believe that the real life relationships are actually the biggest support, what's closest to us. If not, we find the comfort on the internet. We always find the comfort there, of any sort.
Joanna Heidtman was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your expertise on the subject. And I'm Jonasz You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.